guys, today I want to talk about veganism and language. As a literature and a linguistics student, it is pretty obvious that for me words are important, meaningful and very crucial parts of our existence as human beings. And I believe that if you're an activist or if you're fighting or feel very much about a cause, it is very important that you take time to realize what words you use and what words what is the impact that words have on this cause that you're fighting for. For me, it is very obvious for feminism and veganism. This could really apply to many different causes, because language is actually the product of the culture, but also the vehicle of that culture, and also not the source of the culture, but it is definitely one of the different sources of each and every culture. So basically, the culture that you live in and the thoughts that you take for yours or that you develop are influenced by language, are influenced by not only your language but also just the way others around you use that language and how media use that language. For example, with veganism, it is pretty obvious. We have the word meat, and meat is a very useful word because it completely disconnects people from the thing that they are eating, which is basically animals. And I have started to do that recently. I don't use the word meat anymore when I'm with people that I know are not vegans, and when I know that I want to have an impact and I want to carry a message, I will say animals or dead animals, or you could even say killed or murdered animals. And you might think that's not going to make a huge difference, but it does make a difference, and it makes in fact several differences. First one is for the animals. This book that I was reading, which is called The Sexual Politics of Meat, Carol G. Adams refers to animals as the missing referent or the absent referent, because basically they don't speak. They are nowhere to be seen because obviously we put slaughterhouses outside of cities and farms as well, and it's illegal to enter those properties. And then we kill them and we dismember them and we boil them and we skin them, and they don't look like animals at all at the end. And then we don't even use their names anymore. And people who want to fight for them are often mocked and, you know, not taken seriously at all. So at each level, animals are kind of suppressed or erased. And when you say I don't eat animals or I don't eat dead animals, first thing you're doing is acknowledging the presence and the existence of those poor creatures. Secondly, you are trying to make the connection happen in people's mind. So when I was in the plane coming back from Slovenia with my sister, the hostess was not really nice, and she told us when she realized that we were vegan, she was like, oh, but what do you eat apart from grains? And I was like, well, you know, there are many different things you could eat apart from dead animals. Usually in the past I would have either said nothing or be like, oh, you know, we eat different things but just not meat and fish and all those things, obviously. And it's the same for when people eat. I say leg, I say arm, I say breast, I say skin, I say flesh, I say cut and dismembered and boiled and tortured and murdered and, you know, beheaded and all these things, because that's what happens. That's what happens in slaughterhouses. And when you just say, oh, animals are killed, or we don't even say that, but like, oh, animals are raised and then we eat the meat. What happens in this space of time? There is a creature, a living being that comes on earth for you, basically, because everything is, you know, controlled by human beings. But that creature comes on earth, lives a very poor life, and then is transported in those trucks in very awful condition. Then this creature is, this living being is in a slaughterhouse, and this creature is killed. And that's just the truth, and we need to really be here to speak the truth. That's what I think. So I said dead animals, and I say eat someone, chew on someone, I say blood, you know, I say muscle, I say tendon, and I say all those different parts of the body, because that's what people are actually eating. People think they eat some sort of, I don't know, some sort of magical meat that just happens, you know, and just appears out of nowhere. Also something you can notice when you use like some sort of idioms that try to portray animals as bad, and especially when we are comparing human beings to them, like this guy is a pig or this old man was a pig. Those are really detrimental and harmful to animals. They just feed some sort of representation that we have that are absolutely not accurate, and they furthermore accentuate like the disconnection between the reality and the truth of animals and our representation and what we think of them, and that's something you don't really want to do. So yeah, language is very important. You should really be careful. Also, you should wonder why some words make you feel uncomfortable if you are not a vegan yet. And when we say that people who eat meat are murderers, we refer simply to the fact that they pay for people to kill animals for them to eat, and that's just the way it is. So language is very important. There was this very famous writer who was called Sarah, and he said something like thoughts happen in the mouth, and that's very true. So if you start to change your language, or if you start to question why you speak a certain way, you really start to see that there's a huge link between culture, what we think, what we see, what we perceive, and the language that we use. And I really suggest you all trying to really try to reflect on that, and when you speak to people who are not vegans, try to really use the words that are, first of all, very accurate and very true, and also words that are going to make them think and which are going to make them feel something. Because I believe one of the biggest issues is people being completely disconnected from reality. Slaughterhouse, like how can we just say this word so easily? A slaughterhouse, you know? How is it and why? How is that possible? How is that possible to see a leg as food? You have in your plate is just legs, you know? It's just arms. It's just little bits of someone's body, a body. And a body is not food. And also, why are some things so dirty and some things so fine? Like, why is it dirty to have like some hair or a strand of hair in your plate? Why would it be so dirty to find like a little bit of like a little piece of nail in your soup? Why is it fine to have tendons and to have bones in your soup? Like, just for a minute, if you think of words and if you reconnect them with the truth, and if you just try to erase all these speciest sort of frontiers and boundaries that you have put in your head, you realize how fucked up that all is. So yeah, also when you start to think of language and words, you realize how feminism and veganism are linked, and how society tries to put women and animals in the same category, sort of like the other, and how the same patterns are detrimental to both groups. So yeah, I hope you enjoy watching this video, guys. There are many different other examples. I just wanted this to be a little bit clear, but apparently I did not really succeed, but my brain has been like so tired. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.